Headliner Nation, how we doing out there today, guys? I'm your host, Ryan O'Connell. It's Turn Up Tuesday, and we are officially 5 days away from the Super Bowl. That's right, guys, 5 days away. I can't believe it's coming so quickly. If you're not ready, don't worry about it. I got you covered. In today's episode, we'll be covering some of those DFS captains you want to consider for the showdown slate, as well as some player prop bets to target for the big game. Now, the big disclaimer here at the Headliner Nation, we do not condone nor endorse illegal gambling. So if you do not have the means to gamble legally, please do not do so. Furthermore, if you bet some of these prop bets I'm going to tell you to target and you lose, that's on you. This is strictly my input and my insight on the prop bets I like based on the way I see the game going down. This is strictly for entertainment purposes. And if you have the means to gamble legally and it works out for you, great. If it doesn't, don't blame me. You bet your money the way you see the game going down. With all that said, with all that out there, let's jump into this thing and let's cover one of the most exciting games of the year, the Show Me the Money Super Bowl Special. Now, this section is for all my DFS guys out there. I know you're really curious who you should be targeting for that showdown slate, and I'm going to be giving you my two favorite options, some players to target and some players to fade. That way it'll help you with your lineup construction. Now, my two favorite captains comes down to Todd Gurley and Rob Gronkowski. I think Todd Gurley has the most upside as anyone on this slate. He hasn't been producing as of late, so there might be some low ownership there. We get him at a discount this week, and I see him being heavily utilized this week in the passing game. Now, I woke up this morning and I saw on my sleeper app that Sean McVay says Todd Gurley is going to play a big role in this game. That's like, duh, coach. If you don't get Todd Gurley heavily involved in this game, you probably don't stand a chance to win. And that's why I really like Todd Gurley this week. He not only is going to be heavily utilized, but I see him being utilized in that passing game, which is one of the Patriots' weaknesses is pass catching backs. And he's one of the best in the game. We get him at a discount this week. I think it's a slam dunk as one of my favorite picks for this week. Now, if we move over and check out Rob Gronkowski, there's some different reasoning why I'm targeting Rob Gronkowski. I think he's super contrarian and he's super cheap, basically. He has a very ideal matchup going against the Rams defense that really struggles on defending tight ends. Coming into the season, he was the number one tight end in basically everyone's eyes. Now that he hasn't produced as of late, everyone's fell off the Rob Gronkowski train. Well, I'm hopping on for the Super Bowl. Because out of all games for both Rob Gronkowski and Todd Gurley, if you're going to go all in, if you're going to play through an injury, if you're going to give it your all, the Super Bowl is the game to do it, and I see both these guys producing very heavily, and I'll talk about that more when I'm targeting some of these prop bets. But for DFS purposes, Todd Gurley and Rob Gronkowski are two players that you must have in your core builds for this lineup. Now, the player pool is going to be very small, so it's going to be tough to really fade anyone. I think basically you can make an argument for anyone. If you want to go the Rams defense and they happen to score a touchdown, well, good for you. You can really make an argument for anyone this week because the player pool is so small. But these are my two favorite captains. Some players I like to target the most is Robert Woods, Julian Edelman, obviously Rob Gronkowski, Todd Gurley, Josh Reynolds, Sony Michel, and Jared Goff. Those are going to be the players in the core of my builds for this week. Some players that I'm fading, it basically comes down to James White, Brandon Cooks, based on their matchups. The Rams is actually very good against stopping pass catching backs. Alvin Kamara is just Alvin Kamara and had a good week last week. I don't see James White having that same kind of success this week. Brandon Cooks has a very, very tough matchup against some of the best cornerbacks in the league, and I think that Belichick will really hone in on stopping him because of his big play ability. I think they're going to make him beat him with a dink and dunk offense. I don't think they're going to allow the Rams to give up those big plays, so I think they really hone in on Brandon Cooks. So he's a fade for me this week. And then other than Chris Hogan and Josh Reynolds, I'm not really gambling on any of those cheap guys. I'm not gambling on Dorsett or James Devlin or anything crazy like that. Keep it straightforward and simple. Target some of the key players that are going to be heavily involved in this game, like Robert Woods. He has a great matchup, and if the Rams are playing from behind, he's going to be one of Jared Goff's top targets, along with Todd Gurley. Josh Reynolds also has a great matchup as far as cornerback wide receiver matchups goes. So for a cheaper option with probably less ownership, he's a great way to go. Chris Hogan also is in a very favorable spot. So these are the reasons I'm targeting the players I am. So hopefully that answers some DFS questions for you guys. I just want to give you a quick analysis and go over this quickly because we got some player prop bets I really want to talk about. So the first prop bet I want to talk about is the famous coin toss. Now, this is the closest 50-50 bet you're going to get out there because it truly is 50-50. It can only be heads or tails. So I have no logic to this. I have no insight. I just think it's funny that people are actually willing to bet on a flip of a coin. If I had to pick this, I would go with tails never fails and pick tails. Obviously, the Patriots are going to be able to choose the coin flip. I think the majority of the time they go with heads. So if you think it's going to be heads, you could pick the Patriots to win the coin toss. But for me, I'm going to go with tails. I'm hoping that the Rams get the ball first, and hopefully they can get an early lead and sustain that lead for the majority of the game. Now, the Super Bowl MVP is going to be none other than Todd Gurley. He's going to be the man in this game, and if the Rams have any chance of success this week, he's going to be heavily involved, not only in the run game, but in the pass game. You can run on this Patriots defense. I know they've been pretty stout as of late, but that Rams offensive line, not to mention Todd Gurley's ability to get open in the passing game, is going to really allow him to showcase his skills, get back on track, and really dominate this game. And they're going to need to if they're going to want a chance of winning. So, Todd Gurley, 11-1, yes please all day. I'm taking that bet in my sleep. You're saying I have 11-1 odds as Todd Gurley being the MVP. If the Rams win, it's going to be because of Todd Gurley and not Jared Goff. I'm not saying Jared Goff is not capable of putting up a 4-touchdown game because I think he has that potential, but he was more likely to do that with Cooper Kupp involved. And that's why at 11-1 odds, he's definitely one of my must-have MVP prop bet candidates, and I'm definitely targeting him this week. Now, the next prop bet I really want to talk about is that margin of victory. Now, I think this is a great bet. It's a great way to hedge your bets because of the current spread for the game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the spread. It's currently favoring the Patriots. The Patriots are giving up 2.5 points to the Rams. So let's just use this for example. I'm obviously on the Rams this week. I think they have a great opportunity to win the game. And if you're going to give me points at home, I'll take that all day. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pay up. I'm going to take the Rams +3. You got to pay a little bit more, but it's a safer bet. So now that I have the Rams +3, that's telling me that the Patriots have to win by 4 or more points. So let's say, rough example, that I'm going to bet $100 on the Rams, okay? Well, the great way to hedge that is to bet the Patriots win by 7 to 10 points. And you're getting 6-1 on that. So if I bet $100 that the Rams cover the spread or the Rams +3, and then you bet $20 that the Patriots win by 7 to 10 points, you have now created two different outcomes that really favor you and you can win money in. If the Patriots blow them out and win by more than a touchdown, 7 to 10 points, then you cover your bet and you might make a little bit of profit. At least you don't lose that $100. And on the flip side, you can also do that with the Rams. For me, I feel like if the Rams are going to win, they're probably going to win by a last-minute field goal or only win by 3 points, basically. So the Patriots are already giving up 3 points So if you're going to bet anything to hedge that bet, if you're going to give up nearly 3 points to the Rams, well, then you're going to have to bet that they win by 1 to 3 points. And that will help you hedge your bet as well. If I were to bet the $100 on the Patriots, I can bet roughly $15 that the Rams win by 1 to 3 points, and that will help hedge your bet. So this is a very interesting way. You can obviously play with the different outcomes. If you think that the Rams are just going to dominate and you want to take a shot in the dark and say the Rams win by 11 to 13 points and bet nothing else, that's also another interesting way to do it. But from a hedging perspective, I think this is a great prop bet to incorporate into your betting scheme, especially when you're betting just strictly on the spread. So just some food for thought for you guys. The next prop bet I really want to talk about is the first touchdown score. As we take a look at some of these odds for the person to score the first touchdown, the first thing that I see is that Todd Gurley is the favorite, which is kind of weird because he's 11 to 1 favorite to win the MVP. They really must think the Patriots are going to win this game. So that's neither here or there. One of my favorite targets is actually not even on this board. If I had to bet one of the favorites, I would go with Todd Gurley, Sony Michel at 4 to 1 and 5 to 1 respectively. As we go down, Julian Edelman's interesting at 7 to 1. As I said in the DFS segment, I'm basically fading Brandon Cooks. I think he'll be on lockdown. Robert Woods is a nice choice at 9 to 1 odds. Chris Hogan is kind of a long shot at 12 to 1 odds. Then we get down to Josh Reynolds and Philip Dorsett. Now, Philip Dorsett is the last person on this list because that's where it cut off on my screenshot. But who do you not see on this list? Who's one of my favorite captains? That's right, Rob Gronkowski. You're telling me you're going to give me 14 to 1 odds that he scores the first touchdown? I mean, he has the most ideal matchup out of anyone in this matchup. The Rams' linebacking core is severely soft and cannot stop tight ends. Rob Gronkowski is a very elite talent, and out of any game I expect him to score and score often, I think this is definitely the game for him in a great matchup. At 14 to 1 odds, I don't think you can go wrong. He's definitely going to be my show me the money candidate of the week because I guarantee if you take this prop bet and you get him at 14 to 1 odds and he scores that first touchdown, you're going to look something like this. So for this next section, I'm going to be covering the novelty props, and there's a couple of them that I really like. Obviously, these are long shots, high risk, high reward prop bets. Now, these can definitely be fun to sprinkle in here or there, but I'm not putting a large amount of money on any one of these. But if you want to put 10, 20 bucks, here are some of my favorites. The first up is Sony Michel scores the first touchdown. He's actually one of the favorites to score the first touchdown in the game. That means the Patriots are probably leading, and Robert Woods to score the last touchdown. Now, both those circumstances have to come into play. Sony Michel has to score the first. Robert Woods has to score the last. But if that comes into play, you get 35 to 1 odds. That's kind of fun. Keep the game interesting. But my favorite one is actually Jared Goff and Tom Brady have 400 plus passing yards each. Now, if this turns into a shootout, and the over-under is currently at 56 points, so it definitely could go that route. If they both get over 400 passing yards, you're getting 35 to 1 odds on your money, So at those kinds of odds, I don't mind sprinkling that in for 10, 20 bucks just to make things a little bit more interesting. A couple more of these continued. There's literally hundreds of these prop bets, so I suggest you go check them out and sprinkle the novelty bets in here and there. Do not go crazy with them. Kind of a more legitimate option is Todd Gurley and Sony Michel both get 100 rushing yards each. I think they'll both be heavily involved in this game. So at 4.5 to 1 odds, I'm definitely considering that bet. Another one of my favorites is Rob Gronkowski gets over 100 receiving yards and scores a touchdown. Now, obviously, I'm very high on Rob Gronkowski for this game specifically, given his matchup. So at 9-1 odds, I'll definitely be sprinkling that in to the bets I'll be considering for the big game. And last but not least is each team has 2+ TDs and 2+ field goals. This basically means that a lot of scoring and some good defense. They both have great kickers. So this is definitely a safe bet at 1.25 to 1. It's basically an even money bet, but it's something you can sprinkle in there just to kind of have some different outcomes that you're looking for while watching the game. Another sneaky one is Josh Reynolds has 100 receiving yards and to score a touchdown, but he's only receiving 6.5 to 1 odds. They're saying that he's more likely to do that than Rob Gronkowski is. And that's why I'm really high on Rob Gronkowski. I think this is one of the prop bets Vegas has wrong, so I'm really trying to capitalize on that and really hone in on Rob Gronkowski going off this game. So that's going to wrap it up for my Show Me the Money Super Bowl special. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys enjoy DFS content and want to know who you should be playing in those DraftKings lineup, please make sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Headliners on YouTube. I'll be exclusively bringing all my tips and tricks, including my picks for the week, all season long in 2019 here on Jake's channel. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I appreciate the love and support you guys have shown me so far. I look forward for another successful year in 2019. Until next time, guys, I'm your host, Ryan O'Connell, signing out. Peace.